consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your Soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize.
Hello, my loves. Welcome to another incredible, juicy episode today. Let me ask you a few questions with regards to calling in. This is going to really speak to you if you would like to wake up each day feeling vibrant. Do you need assistance in assessing your joy and implementing some much needed shifts from just living life to fully stepping into the juiciness it can offer? And would you like to know how vibrancy can support you in bringing more of a life of a joyful life? So before I introduce my special guest today, I would love to just have you check in, because as we are filming this episode, it's almost halfway through 2022. Can you guys believe that? And I just want you to tune in to see how it's been going in your business. Are you achieving the goals that you have been wanting to manifest? Are you creating the wins? Just checking in without any judgment, with tons of self-compassion. Now, if you're like, you know what, I'm feeling like I would love to be part of an impact-hungry community of like-minded queens who are coaches, light workers, healers, practitioners, way showers, intuitives. And I would love to invite you to consider applying for Soul Ascension Business Academy. Because here's the thing, most of you are struggling with really showing up. I know you guys are hiding, and magnetizing your soulmate clients. And a lot of that is because you're not really clear about who you're calling in. In Soul Ascension Business Academy, I really help you get clarity, help you stand out, and really understand how to be more magnetic so that you can create a business where there's flow, where there's ease and income, because it's not a business if you aren't actually monetizing on your calling. So you can apply, you can DM me at Bold Sexy Warrior on Instagram, Soul Ascension, and then let's get you the application form. I want to make sure that it's a really good fit for you. All right, my loves. So as we're tuning in here now, let's get on with our episode. And I see that Miss Kimberly is off the camera. We've been having a little bit of techie issues. So we're just going to trust that whatever needs to come through will come through. Kimberly, are you still there with us, my love?
I am still here. I apologize. You can't see me, but I'm here.
Well, you know what? We can feel your energy, and that's all that matters. So that's amazing. And if you happen to come on camera, because it works great.
Perfect.
We'll just trust that whatever is meant to come through. Because sometimes, it's way more powerful when it's energy. And those of you who are tuning in on podcast, this doesn't matter anyway. So let me introduce to you my two special guests, the red lipstick babes, who make up of Toni Fadollone and Kimberly, Kimberly Austin. So the red lipstick babes choose vibrant. They're taking a different approach to your life of vibrant joy. And through discussions on their own podcasts and posts about authentically discovering your own uniqueness. You guys will see how these ladies really support you in raising the vibration. Their desire to have fun while interviewing others on their vibrant lives and shower the path they walk with a glitter bomb of contagious joy and laughter. And I've tuned into a few of their episodes. It is really fun. So I invite you guys to check it out. And Kimberly and Toni actually met. We'll get more into their story of how they met, but they've met in a mystical school. In between them having tarot, astrology, herbal, aromatherapy, flower essence, nutrition, relationship guidance, and shamanic training, to name a few. Like, oh, so juicy. The Red Lipstick Babes like to say they are all just tools of vibrancy, mediums for flow, and vibrancy and flow are what they wish to bring to the table. So welcome, ladies. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. We're happy to be here.
So good. Tell us a little bit more about each of your journeys and then how did this beautiful co-creation come through?
Okay. Do you want me to go first, Kimberly, since they can see me?
We'll have the visual cues.
Yes, please go.
How did our journey start, period, and then how did we come together is more what you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
My vibrancy journey, I think I've always been there, but I started in a really religious background and then got juicy and experimental with those things that were pulling me and went to a mystical school, which was way outside of my comfort zone. And felt quite safe because I took the herbal program because herbal can still be a transition, right? And met Kimberly the very first day. I was 2 months late into the program. And we just connected like we were sisters instantly. There was a soul connection right there. And I was so hoping she was in herbal and she wasn't. She was in astrology. So we went for 3 years of training in kind of different areas, but we'd come together every summer for an intense week of shamanic training and dream training and spend the week together. So we've journeyed for the last 5-6 years together. And then in the last year, we were just called to do a business together. We're both, you can't see her right now, but she's so freaking vibrant. That's who she is. Juicy is Kimberly's word. And we are on the same wavelength of really doing it different and bringing joy to the world. And when I finally found a partner that was like, I get that. I'm like, what? You get that? So it's the first person that's really not asked me to change my vibrancy. That actually, and so that was, because so many people are, and then here's even different, saying, well, you can't start a business with a friend. And we're like, watch us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love that because there's so many women that struggle with women partnerships because sister wounds, mother wounds, all that shit definitely comes up. Yes. So yes, kudos to both of you for remembering your past life together and just coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
Co-creating. Kimberly, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your own journey and your perspective on the coming together with Toni.
Absolutely. Well, I was also from a religious background. However, my religious experience was way more open and kind of free flowing. So there wasn't a lot of restriction around exploring different options. So at a very young age, I became very interested in astrology. Probably started when I was about 6 or 7. And, looking through my mom's hidden books at the back of her closet. And kind of just diving into that. And for me, what happened was I've always been extremely curious about understanding our connections, how people intermingle and why we connect with certain people and why certain people don't connect particularly well. And I've always been fascinated by that. So it took me to a new level of exploration with that. I've been doing astrology since I was a young teenager. And like Toni, it took me to a mystical school in Edmonton, Alberta. And yeah, that's where I found Toni. And like she said, we kind of instantly connected in this magical, deep way. And we soon realized that we wanted to take things a little bit further and a little bit more exploratory, have a journey together. So that's how that unfolded.
That is so cool. And Kimberly, you are where you're located where?
I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And I know that Toni's in Vancouver. I'm
Yeah.
originally from Edmonton. I actually still have a home there. Literally
Right.
just moved out here to Kelowna in September, but I go back to Edmonton pretty much every 8 weeks to do my shamanic practitioner. So we're all shamanic in the shamanic.
There
Yeah,
you
I'm
go.
second year. So, and my teacher is in Vancouver. So cool. I love this. And those of you who are tuning in, this is my first time having a conversation with Toni and Kimberly like this. We've been chatting on Facebook Messenger, but first time learning more about them. So I'm so excited to have you both here.
Thank
And
you.
so please tell us a little bit more about like what inspired you both to co-create together? And like, how does that look like as you're in business with each other?
You want to take it or me?
Go for it.
Oh yeah, thanks. That's how we co-create. We're like you or me. We're like the chipmunks.
Love it.
You know what? It started with conversation. So if you come to our podcast, that's pretty much how we roll. We have a conversation, and so we go into these deep conversations and realize we really want to do things differently, however that looks for us. And so we started reading some said the same books together and having conversations around that and saying there just isn't enough vibrancy in life. And we're both people, if you can believe it, I don't think we've actually seen each other in person for 3 years. So isn't that crazy what Zoom can do? So our vibrancy comes across the wavelengths, and we know that when we're out and about in our own respective lives, people comment on that. How come you're so vibrant? How come you can get joy out of some pink cherry blossoms on the trees? And we both understand that. And we kind of looked at each other and said, how do we want to focus this? Because we were going and maybe we should do some goddess work. Maybe we should do this. And we're like, let's just bring what we do every freaking day to the people that would say, how do you do that? And teach people how to pull vibrancy out of their own lives through their joy and love and passion.
That's so powerful. Well, and my Facebook group is called Raise the Vibration. So this is so on point. Right? Like, I mean, that's really what we came here to do is, and be and do, is to raise the vibrations through our soul purpose. And we do that with our spiritual gifts and gifts in general. They don't have to be spiritual for some of us and many of us, right? We all have different niches. So, and so for both of you, it's through maybe let's like rewind a bit and just back up a bit and just ask you, what does that actually mean? What does raising, if somebody's just tuning in, they're kind of a newbie into this whole energy spiritual world, what does that actually mean to raise your vibrations, raise the vibrancy?
Well, in my opinion, the way I think that we're approaching it is we need to do things differently on this planet. And the way that I think Toni and I can agree that we both see it is the way to approach that is to start on an individual level by shifting your own experience and your own control over your experience and your own empowerment. And the way to do that is through vibrancy, and you access that through joy. You access that through your passion. You access that through whatever just lights your heart on fire. And if we can take that on in an individual way, we're going to act as bonfires and heat up everybody and everything around us in a vibrant way. And so you can get a visual of what that looks like, right? Everybody's hanging out around a bonfire because it's vibrant and it's warm and it's exuberant and exciting, and it changes the energy, it shifts the energy. So I think that's been our approach. Is we want to I have to be careful because I don't like using the word help, and I like the word shift. I like the word transformation. So I think Toni and I are really interested in how we can use the tool of vibrancy to transform individual and collective energy, to maybe understanding a little bit more of our personal empowerment. Toni, you can add to that for sure.
Please do.
Yeah, I totally agree. So when you had said what, because there are a lot of people that aren't in this realm and they're finding it now, right? So raise your vibrancy feels almost like a have a little faith, that kind of statement, right? It's like, what does that mean? Or just get quiet. How? So I think for us, it's almost a remembering. We talk about that a lot, that it's not even a do. It's just you're infused with joy. It's refinding. It's re-remembering who you are. And then making a choice. That's why our tagline is choose vibrant. Choose it. It's all we've come to we have to find something, or we have to search for something, or we have to heal something. And I'm not negating that. We all have that. But it's almost become, for us, in our do it different, is sometimes it's just a choice. You have to make this choice. And then you step forward in that. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're taking. So as you said, it doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't, like, that's our podcast. We're like, if you are the most vibrant plumber on the planet, we want to talk to you. Because why do you love that? What is it about? If you were a drag racer, I always say this because I want to go drag racing. I'm hoping someone hears it and wants to be interviewed. We want to know what makes you vibrant. Because we think somehow in this realm that we're in, we almost people get this idea that they have to find a spiritual calling, right? And really, you just have to find your vibrancy. And then, like Kimberly said, then you're the bonfire. You can be the bonfire as the best carpenter in the world, because people can see you light things up. And that's what we want to share with people.
That's so beautiful. That's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to add my 2 cents in, because as a former registered psychologist, I'm still a neuroscience geek, and I love to explain things more so from a science perspective as well when it comes to helping people understand energy. And so some of you, as you're tuning in, you might be familiar with Dr. David Hawkins' work, The Map of Consciousness. So if you're not, if you Google it, it'll just come up, Map of Consciousness. But what you see is he's physicist, I think, that has taken, because what energy is it's emotions in motion. So he's taken this and measured emotions into a calibration. And at the lowest, so he's divided into high vibrations and low vibrations. And at the lowest is shame. And we can all think about a situation where we have felt deep shame. And then immediately we can, as we think about that, feel it in our body. If you were just to tune in, what does that feel like, that moment when you were feeling shame? Heavy, right? And so in the lower vibrations, it's shame, it's guilt, there's anger. And none of these are, by the way, good or bad. I never look at emotions as that. They're all to be honored and to understand where we're at. Now, the highest of the low vibrations is pride. There you are, Kimberly. She just came online. And pride is really where we're still wearing our masks, our egos alive. Those of you who have been following me, you know that I talk about in 2008 when I was competing as a bodybuilder. I was, life looked completely perfect on the outside, but it was very like ego driven. And so pride of fear of being vulnerable, really attached to my titles, and really attached to my doingness and my performance and all the things that quote unquote society makes you feel like that's what you're valued about, right? And so then the first stage into the high vibrations is courage. And that makes sense, right? Because with courage, we got to take away our masks. We have to have the courage to look at ourselves, to be vulnerable. And so as we raise our vibrations, we shed our ego, then we move more into love, peace, and joy, the higher vibrations. And this is actually flow state. So when Kimberly and Toni are talking about raising your vibrations, this is exactly the process from a scientific perspective of what's happening. We're moving into higher frequency emotionally. And that is the energetic foundation of how we operate. And when you think about joy, it feels so light in our bodies, right? And I know that like Kimberly and Toni are going to jam more about this, but I really wanted to give that perspective about emotions are energy in motion.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I like what you said about the courage too, because I think courage is so important to really harness that and tap into your own.
Always.
Yes,
Right?
On every level.
Yes, as we do, like it takes courage to look even deeper. I mean, all of us are shamanic practitioners, so we know that kind of work moving into our shadows, it takes courage to go there. And the gifts as we move through it is so potent and so powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My kids have always had "Do It Afraid" on the fridge, right? It's just a state of being. If you don't, then you don't move.
Yes. No, I'm really curious before we move more into ways and how we can move into raising our own vibrations. How did you two come up with the Red Lipstick Babes? I'm really curious. That's a fun name, by the way.
That one's Toni, but yeah, Toni, you share about it. That was her idea, and it was like, that's a cool idea. So
well, sort of. We actually, Kimberly worked with a shaman and then introduced me, and so we have the same shaman and have done some intense training with him. But we were talking about podcasts, and if you go back on my own personal TikToks, it all started with someone posting that if you're spiritual, you can't wear makeup, and you can't wear certain clothing, and you have to wear natural hemp clothing, no red lipstick, and no glamorous earrings and stuff. So we're all out. We're not spiritual.
Yeah, no shit. I'm like, no.
So that pissed me off, and I made a comment on it and just said, if that's what you like, yes, but I'll wear my freaking red lipstick as much as I want. So I mentioned this to the shaman, and Red Lipstick Babes kind of just came out of that. And then he went like, yes, that's a fantastic idea. And he kind of actually put us into the podcast world.
That is incredible.
Yeah, wow. Our shaman is pretty cool. So one of our episodes is with him. He's not your typical, is he, Kimberly?
No.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, and it's a sexy name. So, you know, sexy to me is my branding, fun, bold, sexy. And sexy to me is being magnetic, which how can we be more magnetic is raising our vibration. So.
And red lipstick is often not thought of as spiritual, right? It's thought of so we like to push the envelope a little.
I love it. This is why we're absolutely connecting in this field. It's that we're gonna do things our way, trailblazing, and you're right, like I love it, embracing your uniqueness and your boldness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really curious if we can get a little bit more vulnerable here. What are each of your journeys in your, like, how you got to be who you are today, and really like this deep calling to share and impact others to raise their vibrations as well?
Well, I think for me, my focus has always been on partnership and relationship and men and, connecting, friendships, all that, the social aspect of life, right? And so I don't like to dwell on things as being issues or, problems. So I'm like, well, how can we turn things into strength? So I look at my story as I've always been a very social person. I've always been obsessed with men and that masculine energy in my life. And I've always been extremely talkative. So it's always been kind of, you should turn that down a bit. You should be a little bit less social. You know, Kimberly would do amazing in school if she wasn't talking as much, if she wasn't fraternizing as much, you know, all that jazz. And it's like, oh, you can make a sob story out of that and be like, oh, I was hurt by my experience of being, you know, told to turn down. But it's a life experience of learning how to embrace more of yourself, like you said, diving into the shadows and learning how to embrace it more as a strength. And what can you do with that? What can you do with all parts of you? So for me personally, I'm like, well, this is part of who I am. I love it. You know, do what you love. And what I love is socializing. And what I love is bringing people together and connecting and talking and getting deep and getting juicy about stuff with people. So part of that is definitely what fueled me to want to reach people on a more real level like this and get people talking about their own shit and their own, you know, experiences and their own thoughts and exploring their own ideas that they have about maybe ways that they can propel themselves to a higher potential. So if that kind of sums up my story, I would say that it's about people and bringing people together and connecting.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. Amazing. And how about for you, Toni?
Mine, you were talking about ego before. So I think when you come from the Christian background, you always think you have a message to raise people and save them. And so then that gets, I think, transported into spirituality too a little bit. So I think mine has been like this, waves. It's like usually it finds me. So I'll work with the dragons and then I won't want to. And then they show up and it's like, fine. Or things like that. Or I think people need this. So I think my first vision was this big, huge spiritual save the world. And the more and more work, I could not say, and it was this moment, the more you do, the more you implement, the more you dive deep, the less I have a need to save anyone. If that makes sense. So I think that's where we're coming together. We've come to this, even in the morphing of working with our shaman together. And he's so beautiful. He if I'd pay him all the money we did just to shift into our purpose, which was to just find out what inspires us to love. So if we can put a plug for him, once we figured out what inspired us to love, then your passion shows up. And that would be all we would want for people is, I don't actually have any desire to change you. I don't have any desire to say what you're doing is wrong. Neither of us. That's not what Red Lipstick Babes is about. We're just about, I can't imagine you don't want to be freaking vibrant. And if you don't, then you probably won't hang out with us anyways, right? And so ours is more, for me, my journey was really getting out of the ego of needing to save anyone or needing to spiritualize anyone or make sure that you found yourself. It's really... choose what inspires you to love and freaking do it and join us in this journey of vibrancy because it makes you happier. So that's kind of where we're at. And really tapping into, I've always been an advocate, and this has always been in my life, that joy and happiness are not the same thing. Good luck if you think you're going to be happy your whole life. You freaking aren't. Someone's going to cut you off. Your partner's going to be an asshole. You'll be an asshole. Those kind of things happen, but joy can always be there. And I think that's what we're trying to say. Vibrancy isn't our red lipstick. That's part of how we do it. But joy is like, it doesn't leave. And if that's anything I'd want to share with someone, it's just access that. But do I have a need to?
I want to unpack that after commercial, but I want to say I can really resonate with that part of, because I have had lots of past lives and I've caught myself in that pattern of victim savior. Thanks to the victim clients I've had in the past, right? It's like a mirror, oh, how come, what about me from that radical personal spiritual accountability place? What about me is attracting victim energy right now, right? And so it allowed me to look at myself and go, wow, I'm still in victim savior, right? And doing more work around that. And it's been the most potent and magical work around that. So I have gratitude for those victim clients today, even though they were 9 years. But we all have it. That's just real life, and it's beautiful to see that as we raise our vibration, as we get more clarity about our own and owning our power, just how the people coming into our lives are literally a reflection of where we're at. So how do you say the victim savior is not a thing anymore? So hopefully I'll stay that way. It's a good check-in point. Yeah. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into commercial. And then when we come back, I'd love for us to unpack a little bit more around the happiness and joy isn't the same thing. Because I feel like some people are like, wait a minute, what do you mean by that?
How is that possible?
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are lightworkers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Okay, welcome back, my loves. So, I would love for each of you to really unpack the difference between happy and joy. Because, yes, according to the map of consciousness, they absolutely are at different vibrations. And I'd love to hear more about your perspective, Kimberly and Toni, about this.
Yeah, definitely. I would say we've kind of talked about this a lot on our podcasts, both together and with guests, about how happiness is kind of a fleeting experience. It's like it's an emotional experience that you have with something, whereas joy is way more underlying. It's a little bit more foundational, in our opinion. So, for instance, we used traffic as an example, and off because it's something we can all relate to, being in traffic. And you have an experience in traffic where somebody disrupts your happiness at the moment, but does it derail your attachment to the joy of living and the joy of life? And so I know that that's a very simplistic way to look at it by using traffic as an example, but there are people who they feel that their life flow depends on those roller coasters of happiness and the experience of that fleeting happiness in the moments that trigger us to respond poorly or trigger us to feel upset in the moment. It doesn't have to affect your underlying foundation of joy, in our opinion. And so, Toni, I don't know, like that's kind of what we've been talking about, is how joy is a foundation to build off of, whereas happiness is something you love to experience, but you can't be happy all of the time in life. Otherwise, you're not really experiencing contrast. You're not really putting yourself out there in the world. And I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
You are absolutely making sense, and I actually really love
Yeah.
that analogy. It's as you say, it might be simplistic, but it's a really great way to explain it. It's kind of like also, we love those of us who are in committed relationships, we love our partner, we love our spouse, but we don't always like them in that moment, or even our kids, right? Those of us who are parents, we love our kids, but we don't always like who they are in the moment.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, absolutely. Did you want to add anything to that, Toni?
I think that I like that you brought it up, though, because that is a thing for people. Because I know sometimes when you say, well, just access your joy, they're like, well, I'm not joyful. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. So I know a lot of times it's because we use our thoughts, right? So we're trying to access it from our head instead of from our gut. So we will often have people slow down, and it's that love space or the passions, all of those spaces where you love and you're passionate about. So we always like to bring you to your body. And I always say to people, when I say, I want you to go to the person you love the most. Usually if you have kids, that's the most foundational for someone, right? And I said, if I told you you do not love those children, how long would it take me to convince you of that? And they're like, never. And I'm like, okay, where does that sit in your body? And it never sits here. It always sits here. And I'm like, well, that's where your joy resides. Your happiness resides up here. Your joy resides in there. Yeah. And then it clicks for them because they're like, and that's, I said, yeah, I could till you die. I could sit and tell you that, and you're not going to believe me because that's not where it sits. And so if they can go that's that space. Like if you're in traffic, I can be really mad at the person next to me, but I can still feel joy in here, right?
And those of you who are just tuning in on podcast, so Toni's pointing to her head.
Yes. Toni is visual. Sorry.
Then this is a good segue into how is it that each of you may work a little bit differently. I believe in equifinity, all paths lead to the same. So how do you bring your clients from where they are at to raising their vibration? Can you give us sort of like a process that you walk them through?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we are kind of approaching it a little bit differently individually. But one of the ways that in which I do it is I like to see where the person is at, let them unfold from where they're at with me, and then get a feeling of where they would like to be and how, because, everybody's different. So, and that's one thing that we really hold firm to is we're all individuals and we all want to go in different directions. But like you said, everything kind of leads to the same point, which is, in our opinion, vibrancy. And so, but you get a vibe for where your client wants to be as opposed to where they are. And then you work with what their passion. I find, like, we personally find that there are so many people who don't know what they really love and what really starts their fire and what starts their passion and what brings them joy and brings them love, feeling what they're in love with. So that's our approach. It's like, let's find out what you want. Let's find out where you want to go and where you're coming from. So the way I like to work through it is show them the paths that are available to them if they continue on from their trajectory of where they are, and then show them the path that is available to them through the trajectory of shifting their perspective of it. And I use the art of astrology. I use the art of tarot to do this, as well as relationship guidance and counseling. So that's the approach that we take. And then we show, Toni has probably a bit of a different approach at this point, but we're amalgamating. And yeah, then there's a beautiful unfolding as to a person's potential that's laid out in front of them once they decide the direction that they want to go in, and how that can be fueled, like you were talking about, through the emotions. And so you change the thought pattern, the perspective, you open that up, and then you fuel it based on what you want to see happen and what you really want for your experience. And then the emotions fuel that. So, Toni, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, at the moment we're offering more of a vibrancy package because there are certain aspects of your life that are a little more fixed. So because Kimberly's an astrologer and we're both tarot readers and we've got some of the herbal and everything, we like to bring people in and get a picture of where are you at right now. So it's almost like if you want to start working with us, we need to know where you're at and exactly where do you want to go and where's your love. And let's start to look at what are some things, not fixed that can't be shifted, but there's certain personality traits about yourself that you might not get any joy from that we can show you. Well, that's you. That is something you can get joy from. And then what we're doing is pushing that into more of a membership, right? So you can come, you need a package, you know where you're at. We can very much personalize that. But then there are certain acts of vibrancy that are very much universal. Can I say that? There are tips that we can help you with. There are tips that we guide you through. And sometimes it's a flood. Sometimes it's a choice of sticking it in that vortex and pulling it out. And that's something you get more of in a group mentality than you do on your own. And so we're working towards that. And then truly what we do with it is why we have a podcast is we can give you that big picture. We can show you vibrancy. We know how to do that. But there's like working with someone like yourself or some of the beautiful feng shui women. As we get a picture of what you like, we might not actually be your final step, right? We'll be like, yeah, this is your picture. And you're showing us you really, really have this passion for spaces. Well, then you know what? We have these wonderful women that we work with, and we're going to guide you that way. So it's a little bit of a different approach in us. Because if you know me and you talk to me for hours, I'm like this massive person for teamwork and community. And if you think that just it's there. So if we don't think we're your perfect fit to keep going, we're gonna show you what the picture is, and then you can be part of our membership and always get infused with our joy. But we might steer you this way.
I love that. That's what I'm all about too, is like co-creation, collaboration. And I mean, in business, that's affiliate marketing. And just how beautiful that as your clients, like our mutual clients, are going along in their journey, it's like, who can serve and support them before they come see me? who can serve and support them after they come to me or during, right? Like it's just this beautiful mosaic that
Yes.
it really gets to be unfolded here. So that's so beautiful. And so who are the people, like what are their top struggles when they come see each of you? I assume that you both have your different practice, and then you've come together with this vibrancy package and then the membership. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. For me personally, definitely relationship stuff. People, connection is such a huge part of our lives. So, an attraction and romance. And so there's definitely going to be a lot of pointed energy in that direction. So yeah, definitely my strong suit is working with relationship building, and it's also a passion of mine. So vibrancy in the relationship world, vibrancy in the connection world. Yes.
And so, Kimberly, what are is it like women come see you for, I'm assuming it's women, but it could be men as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Do they come see you because they're having conflicts in relationship? Or is it more like soulmate, twin flame stuff? Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. People who are wanting clarification on where they're at. I get it all across the board, whether you're already in a committed relationship and there's some questions there that, need a little bit of attention, or, you want to ignite your own sense of passion and vibrancy to attract a connection. I get that a lot as well. And it is definitely men and women. It's hard to say it's strictly, when we were trying to decide what our niche would be, it was like, well, we both reach out to men and women. So we're not going to make it gender specific. It's more about the unfolding the vibrancy in the way of relationships. So yes, people who want to find connection, people who want to learn how to attract the right partner, and people who want to learn how to keep what they already have vibrant, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And so do you work with couples as well? And then it's like, what do you want to co-create? Where do you see yourselves in like a year from now, sort of thing? And then you're doing a reading for them and then counseling them?
Yes, 100% through astrology. It's called synastry, where you work with couples and you can do it together, or if somebody comes to you and they want to know more about compatibility within their relationship. Yes, definitely. And seeing where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and working with that at the highest vibe level.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm sure that those who are tuning in are going to be like, yeah, I want that. That's amazing. Couples love readings. I know that when I do Akashic Soul sessions, I also offer couples. I have a background in a master's in marriage and family, so I can give some of that support as well. So it's so much fun to work with couples.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I love it.
How about for you, Toni?
Well, when Kimberly was talking about men and women, I definitely found that too, especially even just in tarot. And I think what we're finding too is what it mostly starts with is, can you help me, or can you do this, or can the cards just basically tell me how to do it and then I don't have to do it? And we're like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? But that's not how we do that. We're not psychic readers. We have tools. And so inevitably they already know the answer. And what we're doing is just guiding them to the ones they've been avoiding or not trusting. And so it's a lot of work. And I find men much, much easier at accepting it than women are. So it's an interesting adapt. You'll be walking. Do you get that? Yep. Got it. Let's move on. Really? Wow. That's so much easier than I love us. We're all women, but it's very fascinating to see the difference. There's like, just tell me the steps and I want to know. Okay. And it's not a total healing yet or anything, but it's fascinating to see the difference. And I think that's what we're trying to see, is working with clients for them to see that they can access this vibrancy no matter who they are. And that's another thing in spirituality. It's very weird to see women that want to work with men. And we think men have a calling to come be pillars of society. Women have this real deep calling to shift, but the rest really, really, men need to be the pillars. And so we're working on that.
It is very fascinating, I bet, as you see how, like, literally we know that women's brains or female brain and the male brain works very differently. And so it must be so fascinating for you to see how they process with similar readings.
Oh yeah, especially when I first started doing tarot, and the men would come in, and they'd have these, and women want to dive, and men are like, "I'm like, do you get it? Oh yeah, I got it. I understand totally. Let's go to the next." Oh, okay. I don't have to convince you of anything. I don't just assume. It's just like done, and I like it. Though they're accessing emotions, so you also have to build trust, right? They're trusting, and we're very much finding men trust us too. So.
Yeah, well, beautiful. Like, energetically, I can really feel that both of you hold, the two of you together hold such beautiful masculine and feminine energy. So it makes a lot of sense that people, both, all genders, come and just tune in and I want to work with you both. So that's pretty powerful. All right. Before we move into our meditation, I'm curious, how can people who are just like tuning in, they're like, I wanna tune in more to Toni and to Kimberly. I may want to book a session with them. How can they get connected with each of you?
They can go, and I'm assuming they'll have it. They can find us anywhere if they want to just listen to us on Spotify and Anchor and our YouTube page, Red Lipstick Babes. We're on all social medias, Red Lipstick Babes, the only one, so very easy to find. TikTok, and then we have a Linktree account, which is Linktree Red Lipstick Babes, which is probably the easiest because it takes you to our Wizio page where we still are doing more of our guidance stuff and more of our, and then it'll link to each of our pages and how they
more of our readings.
Yeah, and our readings, or if you want to come have the vibrancy package, and because that's where we like to start you, because otherwise we don't know who you are.
Love that. Yep. Get the baseline, get the assessment, and then let's move into where the big vision is. So I love that. Okay, love. So you heard that. And of course, if you're getting a lot of value out of this episode, please do shout it out on Instagram at Bold Sexy Warrior. And is it the Red Lipstick Babes?
Just Red Lipstick Babes.
Red Lipstick Babes. Okay, beautiful. And it'll also be on the show notes for those of you who are accessing the show notes. So what we're going to do to close this episode is to just guide us into a meditation so that we can walk you through raising your vibration. So I'll invite you to, of course, if you're driving, you can always tune back in later, but find a comfortable place, a seat you can lie down, whatever you feel called to right now. And just following your breath in. And kind of doing a body scan as you follow your breath. Just being a witness to the sensations in your body. Without judgment, just observing. Noticing what two sensations are most present. So maybe lightness, maybe a solidness, maybe buzzing energy. There's no right or wrong, just noticing. And bringing your breath as you inhale, moving as if you're a tree, feeling Mother Earth energy rising up into your feet. Your feet are the roots. Moving through your ankles, your shins, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hamstrings, your hips, and right into your perineum, that space between your sex organs and anus, that soft spot. And a little bit higher is your root chakra. Grounding and safety, this beautiful red energy. Just breathing into there. And then releasing anything that doesn't serve and support. And then breathing into your womb space, your sacral. expanding your belly. This is the area of self-worth, creativity, sensuality, sexuality, energy. It's orange. Just breathing out anything that doesn't serve support. And breathing from your root, your womb space, your solar plexus. This is bright yellow, your power center. And then moving into your heart space, this beautiful green energy, love. And moving into your throat chakra, speaking your truth, your message. Then moving into your third eye. And the top of your head, your crown chakra. And then bring your breath right into the cosmos. So now your breath should feel like it's pushing beyond your physical body. And suspending your breath here so that you're conjuring the power of you. And then as you breathe out through your solar plex and let this beautiful breath surround you in your auric field like a bubble. Feel your soul's essence, feel your power, feel your light. Just regulating your breath. I'm just going to seal this in with light language. Morakia, sirakurati, nerakuratia. Nerakurakia, surukuratia. It's your birthright to feel love, to be loved, to feel joy. Morakia, sirakurati, nerakurati, nerakia. Breathing in. And then anchoring all of this down into Mother Earth, rooting down in your power so that the energetic ripple effects are already beginning. So it is. Breathing in one more time. And out. Thank you so much for being here, loves. Thank you, Toni. Thank you, Kimberly. And do tune into the Red Lipstick Babes.
Thank you.
Thank you.